We are very pleased to be joined live in the broadcast booth by Charlie Townsend, the Director of Hockey Ops for the San Jose Sharks. Charlie, first and foremost, congratulations. You got a promotion, a new title this offseason. You've been overseeing, though, the analytics department for the Sharks over the last several years.
Yep.
First broke into the organization 13 years ago as a video coach
Yep.
in Worcester with the Worcester Sharks. So you've held different hats, I guess, if you will, throughout your career, but what is the day-to-day now as you have a new title and things that maybe changed for you a little bit?
So, I mean, the day-to-day certainly revolves around both teams. The age we're in now, with all the resources and information that we're able to get our hands on, there's obviously a lot. So sort of disseminating that information to the people who need it when they need it, syncing up with the projects we're doing, whether it's in scouting, coaching, and across the front office, and keeping the people who are working on those sort of in line and keeping the alignment of the strategy all together.
We've all heard of information overload. How do you break it down and pick what you think is important, what is not?
Yeah, it's sort of a 50-50 thing, right? Like you want to be in tune with as much of it as possible, but you also have a vision and goals set forth by the organization where you're trying to do. So it's kind of walking the line between checking off on the things that we know we want to be looking at, we know we want to be improving on, but also being agile enough and open-minded enough to follow league trends and see the bigger picture of the game and players in general and not lose sight of that at the same time.
Well, obviously, you're working hand-in-hand with Mike Greer, Joe Will.
Yep.
Tell us how you are working alongside the Barracuda and their coaching staff, how you're assisting them.
Yep, so I think first and foremost, sort of sitting on top of the way they're playing and how is that syncing up with the NHL team? Is it matching? Is there a personnel gap where maybe we can't play the same way and we need to tweak it a little bit? But paying attention to the systematic approach and what we're trying to accomplish from a style of play perspective, and are we living that? Are we far away from it? Kind of the quality control over that.
In a perfect world, what is the type of game the Sharks organizationally want to play this year?
Up tempo, very competitive. I think you've seen sort of as a personnel group shifted a little bit, and the way we're trying to play defensively, getting more stops down low defensively, a little more aggressive in our own end, and then getting on the offense and getting through the neutral with some speed and establishing some ozone time at the other end. It's more of a blended approach than we've probably had in years past, and as we've gone through this transition and getting to the version of the teams we want to be, we're a step closer to that.
Getting everybody on the same page is obviously vitally important, especially when you're trying to develop these young players and have them be impact players with the big club in the future. Can you kind of peel back the curtain on just the meeting of the minds between yourself, between the Barracuda coaching staff, between Mike, between the Sharks coaching staff, and how everybody is just kind of working together on the same page?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that you're going to see now crucial future pieces of the Sharks are going to be here with the CUDA, starting getting their feet wet with pro hockey with the CUDA. So all of those integration pieces, how the organizational vision of those players and how they're going to fit down the road all sort of starts taking shape now. So if we're not on the same page, if we're not in sync, we don't have those communication layers built, and the monitoring of these players with the CUDA, it could slow us down. So the real future Sharks that we have in mind and we have that vision for, starting with the CUDA, especially this year.
How excited are you guys about this crop of young players joining the fold? Looking at the lineup tonight with the CUDA, you got Beasted, Chernyshov, Halton, Haviland. You can go up to the NHL. There's still a ton of guys that will likely end up here in the AHL, at least to start the year. How excited are you guys about this crop?
Very excited. I mean, I think since Mike took over the 3 years that we've had, there's a sense of getting it right with the opportunity we had in the places we were picking in the draft, the players we were able to get, and a lot of the transactions we had with older players moving out and older contracts getting out and getting pieces in. We finally get our hands on them now. You know, there's that lag time of a year or two between draft and getting a guy in here. We're at that first sort of precipice of them coming in and getting our coaching staff's hands on them and seeing them up close and personal every day in practice and then in games. So the things that we've been waiting for are kind of at our disposal now, at our fingertips.
Most sports fans have seen the movie Moneyball. Baseball is kind of the pioneers in terms of the analytics. Maybe easier in the sense that every play is a start-stop, a little easier with numbers and all of that. But how has analytics over the last decade or so changed the world of hockey?
Sure. So, yeah, the baseball world definitely is, I mean, they're further along in the application of the data and the analytics because, like you said, it's so static. There's so many standalone metrics that mean something so clearly, and you can use them in decision making very simply. In hockey, it's way more dynamic. So it kind of came in with event data. So shot is an example of event data, breakout, dump out, all those sorts of event data that you could get. You get a picture of a team and how they're playing. That sort of transitioned into the tracking data now in the NHL, which is the chips that the players wear in the shoulder pads and the pucks. There's some computer vision models that some companies have that do tracking data based off the video feed. But that's where it's all going now. The tracking data is X and Y, the coordinates, where they are on the ice. And what you'll see teams are doing now, they're taking that tracking data and creating their own metrics, doing their own data science on top of it, instead of just using what providers provided from an event metric standpoint. So again, some more creative analytics, some more specific tethered stuff that teams really tie to what they're trying to do and create that metric and then follow it that way.
Do you feel like, sorry to cut you off, do you feel like with the data now being received because of the tracking and how much maybe more precise it is, do you feel like teams feel more comfortable using it because it's pretty spot on?
Yeah, there's an element to that. There's an element to these data departments they've been around in organizations for up to 10 years now, so there's more of a common language spoken and more of an understanding across the organization of how they're using it, so you get more buy-in just from familiarity perspective. And it's sort of outside our sport too, right? You see it happening in other sports, and people in our sport want to use it more. There's certainly a bigger appetite now than ever before. And that with that being said, there's kind of more pitfalls too, right? Because then you get biases and all the sorts of things you got to sift through. But it's certainly being woven into the fabric of our game now, and I think the competitive advantage of the teams that they can use it, they can look at it, but they can come up with really good questions from it, and then utilize their people accordingly off that. That's kind of that's the gold standard, I would say.
We're talking to Charlie Townsend, Director of Hockey Ops with the San Jose Sharks. We talked about baseball. Have you guys organizationally went maybe outside of hockey and picked the brain of other teams and other
tons
sports?
of that. Yeah, tons of that, especially baseball. Obviously, soccer's it's a pretty interesting one because the way that the game's played is most similar to hockey. They're a little further ahead in what they've tried and like sort of R&D in their sport, so we've gotten some great insight there. Still apples and oranges, obviously. Their field's a lot bigger than our rink, so it's not exactly linear. But tons of outside cross-sport discussions, and some partners that have taken a more technical expertise and taken some of our projects and really leveled them up in some interesting ways.
We mentioned this is year 13 for you. You started with the organization way back in Worcester with Roy Sommer, and we'll actually be celebrating Roy this year as we'll raise his name into the banners. His family, or the banner will be risen to the top of the rafters. His family will be in town. That's coming up in January. I'd be remiss to ask, what's one of the most memorable stories during your time working for Roy? And I'm sure there was a lot of them. Some probably aren't appropriate for a broadcast, but
there's a book somewhere. There's a book. There's definitely a book somewhere. I hope he writes it. It's the best one. Okay, I'll start from the beginning. The very first one. So I had my first interview with the Sharks, and they told me, "Hey, we're gonna have the head coach from Worcester call you next." He kind of gave me the background. Roy's been doing it forever, but we need him to talk to you, sort of feel you out, and then we'll sync up with him. We'll be in touch in a couple weeks. We got a lot of people interviewing. It's a ton of applicants. I got that whole spiel. So I get on the phone with Roy, and one of the first things he says, Roy goes, "Do you know where you want to live yet?" I was like, wait a minute. I thought, like if I got to find a place to live, it means I got the job, right? So we're kind of going back and forth. We're going to have a great time. We're going to go fishing, like all these, Roy being Roy. So I'm thinking, like, I must have gotten the job, or now I'm all confused. And then maybe, like, 2 or 3 weeks go by before I hear from anyone from the Sharks, and my parents are like, "I thought you said you had the job." I thought I did. I don't know. And then, of course, I think Joe Wills called me next. Like, we're still sifting through the applicants. And I was so confused. But I ended up getting the job and working for Roy. But, that's one of many.
That is great.
Roy stories,
that sounds very, very much Roy Sommer-esque. Just switching gears ever so slightly, you came down. You did not ride the bus. You guys actually drove down here today. You came with Nabby. I got to ask, a few years ago during a alumni game, you were in it. I was actually in it myself.
You're on my line, I think.
You're buried on getting the Bach off. Do you still kind of remind him a little bit on that goal?
There's plenty of that. When things get a little out of hand, that comes out. and he was not good on the. He was in charge of the music on the way down, and he did not do a good job. So he started off on the wrong foot.
I love it. I love it. Navi, such a great member of the organization, such a great character as well. But Charlie Townsend, Director of Hockey Operations for the San Jose Sharks, congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This is year 10 for me, so I've seen a lot of the evolution, but really proud of what you've been able to accomplish. And
thank you, man.
Kind of looking forward to this next turn for the Sharks as all your guys' hard work will hopefully come to fruition over the next year or so. But, Charlie, appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the game.
All right. Thank you very much.